Hi, Venkat. How are you?
Good, good. I'm doing pretty good. Avi, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm really thrilled about this series, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it's amazing how the world became a small global village. We didn't met each other before, and the ability for us to interface and to join forces for something that is so interesting for the world, the tech world in specific. I think it's amazing. Something we couldn't do. I think even like 5 years ago, it was like weird if someone will tell you on LinkedIn, hi, do you want to have like a webinar? So I'm thrilled about that aspect, but also I'm even more thrilled about the topic that we're going to be talking about, the rising force of India as a tech, area, a tech like, kingdom. I think I've been working with India or Indians for a lot of years now, and something happened in the last, I think, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
India became this year the fifth biggest economy in the world, the most
Hmm.
populated country in the world. It's one of the most ancient kingdoms that we have in the world, and it has all kind of secrets and super interesting areas. But on the same level, it's super updated tech and very evolved or evolving. And
Yeah.
the collision, or the meeting between the two areas are fascinating for me. It's not by chance that all big tech companies have at least one or more sites over there in India, in Bangalore, for example, the Silicon Valley of India. And I've been approached by several partners, mostly startups, asking me if I want a piece of that pie, if I want to have my company opening a site in India, what should I do? And then I've discovered there's a lot of gap of knowledge. So we're going to be talking about India and
Right.
the secrets, but also the opportunities that India is involving and crafting in her. But a second before, I want that the viewers will get to know you better. So please tell us who you are and who are you presenting today on the webinar.
Okay, sure. My name is Venkat Rangasamy. I've been in the HR profession for about 20, 25 years, predominantly in the tech industry. I worked with IT services, product development, R&D, as well as captive IT organizations. Worked with large organizations like TCS, IBM, as well as small fintech companies, which is building their products. So worked with a lot of IT folks across levels. And yeah, looking forward, this is an interesting topic to discuss. Where
Cool.
India's undergone a lot of change, as you said, not 5, 10 years, I would say like 30 years. We'll talk about it a little
Yeah,
later.
totally.
So yeah, I'm excited to discuss
Yeah.
and brainstorm. Yeah.
So for sure you have a better perspective than myself on India on the last 30 years. So we'll be learning and you're going to be educating us for a lot. And I think the first question that people will ask themselves, especially if they don't know India as a culture, what can you tell us India as a culture? What should we know that is relevant for our conversation and it's also important about India as a culture?
Sure. So you said you worked with India, rather Indians, right? So
Yeah.
first of all, it's a very diverse culture. Yeah. We have 28 states in India and another, I'd say like 8 union territories. Union territories are as good as states. So typically, all these states are very unique, right? In terms of their history, their culture, demographics, people, lifestyle, the languages they speak. It's really diverse. In fact, people say in India, if you travel every 100 kilometers, there's a difference of culture. It's just not the physical appearance of people in terms of what they do, how their cultural values, norms, and all those things. So that's it. That's why India is a very diverse culture. That's something which I'm sure most of people know. And see, Britishers have done a lot of good and bad things. One good thing is like they left English. The people are able to speak in English. Of course, the fluency level could differ, but that's a connecting thread in terms of wherever you are, north, south, or east. People say, Hindi is a national language, but still, English pretty much everyone speaks. That's helpful because when you're talking about IT and multinational companies trying to set up shops here, um, though the country is culturally diverse, and companies were able to easily come and then set up their organizations and look at it. So one is very diverse culture, and it's like Europe, like now we can say like it's every state is like every
Yeah,
country,
yeah.
and you can't look at one process is going to work, a style of management or way you deal
Hmm.
with people. It'll be very, very different from north to south to east to, yeah, people are very, very different. That's predominantly very, very unique about Indian
Yeah,
culture.
yeah. It's interesting. Is there like an area that you can indicate or assess that will be easier for tech companies to land in India other than other areas? For example, I know Bangalore and Chennai as big tech, hubs in India. Will there be areas that if someone is, thinking predominantly before he wants to start, that you recommend to start with? Because on the same note, if someone is going to the place where everyone is, like in Bangalore, for example, the 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 the, the the chance he's gonna be getting like engineers there easily is very, very low. The competition is crazy, right? So are there
Mm.
any areas that you will say that are more tech oriented or like preferable, or is it like you can go wherever you want in India?
So if you look at the major cities, as you rightly said, Bangalore, Chennai, okay, more specifically IT, right? If you
Yeah,
look at India was primarily, into manufacturing 30 years ago. In the 90s, a lot of
yeah,
IT services companies started. By
yeah.
then, there was many product companies. There was very, very few. And I think in the last 10, 15 years, a lot of product companies have, started, and multinationals companies have, increased their base in India.
Hmm.
So they focused on large cities, right? If you look at IT Bangalore, obviously, a lot of workforce talent base is there in terms of IT across, you look at shared services, back office, uh, IT services, product development, captive. Anyway, captive is now called with different terminologies, right? They don't
Yeah.
call just captive; they call GIC or
Hmm.
GCC. I mean, GCC is picking up a lot. I was told that another 600 companies are trying to set up in India. So Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta,
Hmm.
pretty well known in the IT
Yeah.
landscape, talent landscape rather. The tier two cities, uh, Trivandrum, Coimbatore, Pune, Nagpur. There's a lot of, I think there are about 25 tier two cities. I don't remember all of them. They're also picking up. That essentially means there are companies which are already operating there,
Okay.
mostly in the services space, and there is talent available. In
Hmm.
the last 2, 3 years after COVID,
Yeah.
this work from home, right? I mean, it made people to get back to their native. Let's say somebody is working in Delhi or Bangalore or
Yeah.
Chennai. Whatever. When they say work from home, they go to their hometown, which may
Yeah.
be like 200, 300 kilometers, and then they settle down. See, you can work from anywhere. Work from home is as good as work from anywhere. So the internet is, easy in a country like India. I mean, the tech adoption is, really doing well. So you get internet connection, and then people can work from anywhere. So to
Hmm.
your question, finding talent, is it different from large cities versus tier two cities? Yeah, there will be, but I don't think that's going to be a bigger problem because now people prefer to set up their next office in tier two cities, and there is talent available. If you're looking for very specialized talent or senior level
Yeah.
talent, you probably have to look at, and work from home is really going to help so people can
Yeah.
commute once in a week or something.
Yeah.
But tier two cities are picking up, especially
Wow.
in the IT
That's
segment. Yeah.
fascinating. Fascinating. So you're saying mostly all big cities in India will be a good tech hub to search and to research your like next opportunity if you want to open a hub. And also the tier two city are going to be like a very good option if you're going to be going for the vanilla engineering, right? And looking for the specifications ones. Okay.
Yes. And what are you into? Are you into IT services? As I said, if you're going to look at back office shared services, IT support level one, level two, if you're doing some maintenance work or migration work, you need a low cost center. When I say low cost, I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't really mean it. It costs very cost effective, at least 30% lesser
Mhm.
than, tier one cities, and very stable, and policies are, more friendly because there are a lot of states in India where they wanted to have IT companies to set up base there because they want to really show the development in the tech segment. So a lot of attractive schemes from government legal side, and you have cost-effective place. But if you're looking something like very niche, like data analytics, AI, ML,
Yeah, big city.
possibly, yeah, big cities might be an advantage there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is fascinating for me, and I've been working with employees in India for a long time now, but still I don't think I have ever done this conversation like deep dive into. Let's talk about the last 10 to 15 years in India. What are the main changes that the country is moving, the nation, that the culture is moving? Because you have a lot of really deep roots of, spiritualism, of aspects in your country that is very, very well present, right? So, what are the main changes that are going to be, I'm going to be meeting in India in the last 10 to 15 years if I like go back in time or like landed here today?
Yeah, a few trends. One from the industry standpoint, if you look at companies, I mean, especially international companies came for cost arbitrage, but now it's just not cost. It's value beyond cost. So people, do work in India just not for cost, beyond that. So that's something which people have identified across the globe. That's a very key change. 20 years, 30 years back, just they talk about billing, utilization 40% cheaper than US. I'll do the same work here. It's still there, but I think today it's just not cost. It's more than that value, innovation. So that is one. Conservative country. That's how India is pretty much called. I don't think it's conservative, both from a general sense and as well as business. It's really getting global. The way the country is operating, businesses are done, the decisions are made. It's very global. So someone who's trying to work in India with Indians in the company, it's pretty global. It's just nothing more Indian.
Yeah.
It's of course there is an Indianism there, but they're getting more global. In terms of mindset is changing. That's number two. Number three is the number of multinationals coming to India is increasing. Yeah, and there's a real war for talent. I mean, everybody wants to come to India, look at, get the slice of talent. That's what you started the
I can relate to
conversation with,
that.
David.
I'm working really hard to get the best talents, and I'm fighting with the best tech, big tech companies in the world to get the best talents from university. Like we're getting the minute that they're like finishing, or even before that. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Everyone is on demand, right?
Yeah.
You're hiring from the universities or mid-level, senior level.
Yeah.
There's a real war for talent. This has become very competitive. Companies started pampering people, I would say that, just to show that, I'm the good company, and employees, the talent is in the position to choose where I will join. That's where it is. Yeah. And as a subset of that, a lot of startup companies, of course, it was there in the last 5 years. If you look at Avi, I don't have the numbers, too many startup companies, especially in the tech area. And the CEOs of these companies are 30 years, 35 years. They typically have about 6 years, 7 years, not even 10 years experience. They just come with an idea and then they get a venture capital and then they start. And quite a lot of companies have, grown. And people, they like to work with these companies. Just not with a big brand. Of course, there's a affiliation to big brands. There is a lot of, I would say, like a bit of an obsession to work for a startup company because not too much of policies, procedures. Just be innovative. Just be yourself, and then work with the company. A lot of stock options, and so startup culture has really, really disrupted the market in the last 5 years in India in the tech space. Yeah.
So you're saying if someone has an idea or a notion that only big tech are opening hubs in India, this is a mistake. You're saying that startups, even small ones, very immature ones still, are opening hubs in India, and it's working, and the Indian population is engaging, engineers are coming, and like the kick. Okay, that's interesting.
Absolutely.
So out of the different changes or the different aspect of change in India that you've said, the first one was tech, and obviously we're like meeting today, and our viewers are going to be very, very tech oriented. You said also India is very conservative. I have to say, from my point of view, I think in the past conservative was perceived as with a very, very negative connection. I'm a strong believer that conservative has a very important and very positive aspects. I think that once the world is like going crazy, all the anchors have flown by and nothing is like stable anymore. I think conservative is one of the most
Yeah,
important
yeah,
aspects that we have as human beings, by the way. As human beings, as as babies, as kids, we need to have like a very structured day. We need to have our anchors. We need, our caregivers have to be the same, so we'll be able to
yeah,
evolve. And I think that the notion or the aspects of creativity and everything is changed is not the best. However, you've said both conservative and also tech. How does those are living together? And also
yeah,
more deeply, how does tech look in India?
yeah. See, the tech adoption in India is really good. Though I'm saying, company, the country is conservative in terms of the values and culture. See, no other country in the world, I don't have any data reference in terms of digital financial payments. Right
Mm-hmm.
today, if you go to a flower shop or any basic vendor, you'll go with digital payment. Do you have an Apple Pay or a Phone Pay or like a Google Pay?
Yeah,
I mean, like there is no cash transaction at all.
yeah.
Right? I mean, like the digital adoption, that means look at the IT infrastructure the country is providing, the security systems and so on. And someone who, who's willing to work on those lines. So digital adoption is very high. Your ID card, we call Aadhaar, right? I mean, it's something similar to your social security number or
Yeah.
the identification number for
Mm-hmm.
the country, citizenship card, or what do I call. It's all digitized. I mean, any government process today, your passport, your license, anything, it's all digitized.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, and even day to day, customer interactions in banking. So that way, that's why, so no, it's just not conservative. See, embracing change with digital adoption is not conservative. So we are able to look at how we can leverage technology, but still, what is conservatism? That's about culture. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to work life, if there is something digital which is enabling our life better, I think that's something which people
Mm-hmm.
are doing it very, very well across level, across demographic.
So you're saying there's actually a choice that the Indian culture is doing as a nation. The places that are relevant for us to proceed to take it to the next step. For example, as you said, I don't think in Israel everything is digitized yet. Like my
Yeah.
license is not digitized yet, and my ID number is not digital. So you're saying wherever we can, we're going to be going digital. However, there are going to be aspects that we're going to be keeping our traditional aspects, and those are not going to be
Absolutely.
in tech, are going to be in the culture aspect of India, which is
Completely.
interesting to see the merge, or like the weights being mixed together. I've been in India several times, and in our site, I've always been astonished by the fact that all of the holidays are being mentioned in the sites together, and everyone is like dressing up traditionally wise, and that are going and writing codes and architecture, and and
Yeah.
the ability to hold those two. I don't know if it's changes or like two different like aspects, but living together, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's say at this point, after I don't know 20-25 minutes, for whomever is listening to us, they said, okay,
Yeah.
you convinced me. I want to open my first site. And those are
Mhm.
entrepreneurs are like thinking on what to do. What will be the first steps for them to consider before they're opening the first place? I'm thinking from my top of mind.
Sure. Sure.
There is like the aspect of physicality, like where should we land, like in the real estate.
Mm,
There's the
mm,
aspect of
mm.
legislation, the aspect of
Yeah. Yeah.
head count. On it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
where should
Right.
we
Right.
start? How should we start?
See, today the world of outsourcing is matured way up. I mean, like it's extremely mature, right? Today,
Yeah,
if you want to start a company in India, I think most countries offer these kind of services.
yeah.
There are a lot of smaller organizations or agencies or these companies which help start up, or companies to set up in India, starting from your statutory legal compliance, getting a trade license, your partner, whether you want to do a private company, a partner company, a lot of things, right? I mean, if you're a
Mhm.
foreign subsidiary, there are some legal regulation. So all those can be comfortably outsourced. There can be a one point contact. There are companies which does. I mean, two sets of companies, right? One is really a high-end company, like a big consulting company, which will do the same. And also you have local players, depends on the cost, efficiency, and so on and so forth. So it's a choice. So you can outsource your initial setting up phase, which is predominantly your license
Yeah.
compliance, secretarial stuff and all those, maybe like about 2-3 months, a little more than that. So that's more of taken care. I mean, it's also digitized to some extent. Not to some extent, quite a lot of digital, but it will be difficult for someone to come do it all alone as a foreigner. Most companies, have somebody to support them, a licensed company or a person or whatever. That's an easy one. And then you have to set up your leadership team, and then real estate. Again, real estate also. You have companies which advise, and you don't have to really go every real estate agency and just say like this what it is. And the recent days in the last, again, 2 to 3 years post-COVID, what do you call this workspace, shared workspace, co-working space, which has become very, very common.
Like we were, and Regis, yeah.
So earlier they said like only a smaller company which does not have a reputation will just go to co-working space. I don't know. Today, all big companies, I don't want to name, like they are multinational Fortune 500 companies work in co-working space. The model may be different. They take the entire floor, or you take 50 seats or 20 seats. I mean, that's getting more and more. But real estate is, and again, if you come to a city like, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, it's going to be very simple, unless you want to have a standalone building with your logo and all those stuff. That's some companies prefer that. Then comes your hiring talent, which is, see, we can identify talent, but hiring them, you're a HR person. So in a country like India and a city like Bangalore, hiring is going to be challenging. But having said that, still there is a craze for people to work for a multinational company than an Indian company. Of course, it's just more okay, I'm working for an international company. So that advantage is that, let's say you are a German company, you're an Israeli company, you are a whatever, you're a UK-based company trying to do, you would probably get some people and, you can interview them, talk to them. It will not be that difficult, but to really onboard them, there's a lot of things there, right? That's going to be a separate topic altogether, how you position yourself as a best employer. Initial days it will be difficult, and then I think it depends on wrapping up and then sustaining, retaining, and move on accordingly.
Okay, so you're saying first step will be getting a partner in India that is, it could be like one of the big five, I don't know, EY or Deloitte, to help you opening the business entities. After that, join with one of the biggest real estate owners, but take a piece of that, like WeWork or Regis, whatever, and then you'll be able to partner with someone who is doing outsourcing services to start your first employment headcount. After that, the bridge will be built, and then you can change, shift, lift, whatever you want to do, because you have your base. And you're saying about 2 to 3 months the first steps, and then from then it depends on you, on the pace you're running. Okay, that's
correct. And virtual staff, right? You can have your virtual admin team, you can have your virtual logistics team or a HR team or recruitment team. Let's say ABC company wants to set up, so they will be an extended arm of ABC, but they're not employees of ABC. So you call BOT or build, operate, transfer. A lot of companies, they say, okay, 6 months, 1 year, we'll ensure things are on, all okay, and then you're all set. And then either you have them on your board, or you can not renew the contract.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about innovation, because we're in tech. I'm Israeli, you're Indian, so I think innovation is super. So it's one of the terms that is being thrown away all the time. So let's talk about innovation in a second. I know from my side that innovation behaves differently in different cultures, right? Like British are doing innovation in a specific way, Japanese are doing it their way, Americans are innovating and experimenting with things differently, while from German and Israelis. How does innovation works in India? What is the process? What can you teach us about innovation in India? How does that work in that culture?
Okay, very broad-based question. Okay, see, if you look at innovation in the tech space, there are product companies Yeah, right. I mean, and startup companies. And I'll
Yeah.
just keep the services company in a pocket
Hmm.
for a while.
Yeah.
So either they're trying to innovate a product. There are companies which has got innovation labs. They work closely with their US or UK counterparts, and
Yeah.
sometimes I think a lot of Israeli companies also there. They have a mainstream innovation business unit within the organization, and that's one. Or as a part of the design, they want to just go to the next stage. I want to look at the next version of the product, and then my design team will take care of innovation, and that's the second one. A lot of encouragement within the organization for innovative ideas. There are a lot of hackathons which happens just not at the hiring stage. There's a problem statement. How do we solve? If you want to innovate something, hackathon could be a very simple thing, but something like hackathon, there are a lot of initiative which will promote innovation within the organization.
Yeah.
Startup ideas. See, if you look at any startup idea is innovation. Any .com is an innovation. So people come with an idea and then it is encouraged and you get funding so easily. So ideation gets created among industry forums or known people within the academic circle, or it is nurtured within the organization, either a part of the design team or innovation as a business unit, and it has been nourished. Yeah, that's how it happens.
Okay, interesting. Cool. It's not very different from what I thought it would be. Um, Super, super interesting. I think the last thing I want to get from you, because you're like, India and also work with multi language and also global companies, what are the things that, or the tips that you can give us to, I don't know, avoid or, I don't know, make sure that we're not like stepping on any other toes while working with the Indians co-workers? Other things that we should be mindful that we or like focused on not to do or to do or not to do too much?
Okay, okay. See, uh, India, if you look at, I'm sure you worked with Indians, they're very flexible people as such.
Mhm.
You would be generally comfortable, and you can be direct in communication. That way, in fact, it is better to be direct. If you just, I've seen a lot of times, some of the assessment centers, if you're not direct, uh, people are not able to really, correlate what is being
Yeah,
told. So I
translate
think
you. Yeah.
being
Mhm.
direct sometimes may not be sounding very nice, but I think Indians are okay. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's something which maybe my experience was like that, but maybe different companies, different cultures.
Mhm.
Being direct is fine. People are flexible. You can ask for, can you do this instead of 10 days in about 8 days? What support you need? You can just be very. You can that the flexibility is there, so you can ask
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Uh, and I said diverse culture. We started this conversation, right? I mean, see, don't think what worked in a particular city will work in a same some other city or some other
Yeah.
company. Let's take an example of Delhi, the
Yeah.
northern part of India, and how you engage with people, how you do business. Uh, may not be same in a place like Chennai or
Yeah.
Bangalore. So that way, I mean, you have to have some local nuances to be looked at. The career aspiration quotient, or I don't know if we call aspiration quotient. Hopefully,
Yeah.
that's the right term. It's very high.
Hmm.
It used to be very high, and it is very high.
Hmm.
Um, the tenure of people in companies are getting shorter and shorter.
Hmm.
Yeah, so if you really don't show them, this is what you're going to do in terms of growth potential. Of course, salary is always a compensation, all those things.
Yeah.
I think see how the company is testing or evaluating people. I think the people, employees are they're just really watching out what's happening in the leadership, which industry segment are they, is a company growing. Very young guys, if you look at millennials, I mean they'll be what about just 60-70%, so that's what it's going to be more and more.
Hmm.
So the attention quotient is very less, and then they just aspiration quotient is very high. They want to
Yeah.
just grow, and what kind of platform the company offers in terms of learning or growing business. What could they do, in the next 2 years? If you're able to have somebody uh, work in the company for 5 years, still an achievement. That's how it's going to be in India. So working closely with people, both from a personal front as well as career front, it will be very helpful. Yeah.
Hmm. I think thank you for that. It's been very, very interesting. I think closing or wrapping up this conversation, I can say on the same note that India is not that different as I
Okay.
will, but also on the same note, I can say it's much more different than what I thought. So it's a place that, holds the two, I don't know, conflicts or changes, or I don't know what is the right term for that, but it's fascinating for me. So first of all, thank you for all the knowledge you shared with us. I feel a bit more educated than what I was from the start of the meeting itself. So thank you for that. And I wish the world will continue to be even smaller as a global village, connecting all places around the world to work together. So thank you, Venkat. It's
Absolutely.
really great.
Pleasure interacting with you. Good,
Thank you.
Abby. Thanks.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.